What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Finally had a break from work long enough to catch up to the latest Nintendo Direct, and I gotta be honest with you, it was okay. Like, it wasn't half bad. It wasn't the best ever, I'll be honest. I mean, there have been way, way better Nintendo Directs in the past, but for right now, during a pandemic and what's going on, considering all the factors that are happening, there were a lot of games that they either revealed or at least reminded me of that I'd forgotten of, that I put back on my radar and truly have me genuinely excited for the future of the Nintendo Switch. If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe and bell for notifications. Now, without further ado, I'm not going to go through the entire Nintendo Direct and cover every little thing that they unveiled, because there's just way too much stuff, and honestly, way too much stuff that I just didn't care about. I'm going to focus on what I care about because that's what I'm passionate about. That's why I wanted to make this video. I'm not gonna make a video pretending to be excited about a character unveil for Smash that I'm just like, like it's not anything special. The Xenoblade Chronicles side story characters or whatever, great for those that are excited about it. For me, I was happy to see Fall Guys coming to the Nintendo Switch finally. I will say it did take a lot longer than I would have liked to have seen, seeing as it's been on PS4 and PS5 exclusively and on the Steam on PC, and that's it. You couldn't play Fall Guys anywhere. Not Xbox, not mobile phones, not Nintendo Switch for what felt like, half a year now? Maybe more than 6 months? I don't know, something like that. So it's nice to see it's finally making its way to other platforms, but God, it took way too long. Way too long. Anyways, other things that I was excited about from this presentation, they were Outer Worlds, meh. Famicom Detective Club, meh. Nothing really too thrilling of all that. Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors, sorry. Great. I don't know, not that exciting. But Legend of Mana. Now, this is a game, I played this back on the original PlayStation 1. I actually remember going in and buying it at EB Games. It was, what, 50 or 60 bucks back then, which was a lot of money. And I remember not loving it, and this is coming from a guy who is a huge Secret of Mana fan and had gigantic expectations going into this one. And it was such a quirky game. It was just one of those games that it didn't meet the expectations I had going into it. And because I was just a young kid and it didn't mesh with what I was expecting, I just kind of tuned it out and didn't really play it beyond like the first couple hours of it. I was just kind of like, eh. I mean, I still have it, and I always have that, like, I want to get back to it and try it again, give it the old college try one more time, but I just haven't. So this being remastered with new sound effects, being able to, the quality of life changes, skip battles and stuff like that, available June 24th for Legend of Mana. I am interested in that. Depending on the price, depending on if it's going to be physical or not, I may be picking that one up. That one was a big surprise to me. I definitely wasn't expecting Nintendo to be highlighting Legend of Mana being remastered on the Switch. That completely caught me off guard. And that wasn't even the biggest surprise from Square Enix. They had a game that I'll get to eventually here that was called Project Triangle Strategy, and it kind of looks like a new version of Final Fantasy Tactics, and I gotta be honest with you, that is exciting to me. Like, the turn-based battle game may be going out on a limb here, but maybe video gaming at its best. I haven't seen an experience that surpasses the quality of the energy and the tactical, like, strategy that you have to think about while playing a game like Final Fantasy Tactics, mixed with a fantastic storyline. Like, the storyline of Final Fantasy Tactics was gluing me to the game. So great. So the idea of that being a new age version of that got me truly excited. I'll come back to that in a second. Mario Golf, though, holy crap, this is what I'm most excited about from the entire presentation, which is ridiculous, I know, on the surface, but hear me out. I'm a guy married with 2 kids, full-time job. I have all these like dreams of wanting to play all these role-play games and putting all this time into them and getting like super like engrossed in the storylines. I love the idea of that, but sometimes I find the reality is it's just I don't have the time. Mario Golf is perfect for my life situation right now, where I love the pick up and play ability of it, but there's also a storyline aspect to it. If I want to dive deeper into it, I can do that. And I mean, I just love Mario Golf games in general. So when I saw this getting announced, I was just like, okay, I heard some rumors of it, and then when I finally saw it, I was like, okay, this truly got my attention, and I am most excited from anything in the entire presentation from this game. And it's coming out in the summer. That's the problem, is a lot of these games aren't coming out for a while, so you have to wait 3, 4, 5 months, assuming they don't get delayed as well. But it is what it is. That's what I'm excited about from this presentation. Story mode, Mario Golf, Super Rush, available June 25th. And while the demos aren't available, you can pre-order it. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but okay. And then they did Borderlands, they did a Capcom Collection, Stubbs the Zombie, maybe. I don't know. I don't have the time to play every single one of these games, so they really need to stand out for me to want to dive deeper into them. And yes, I'd love to have all the time in the world. I just don't. Let's keep going here. What else stood out from this presentation? DC Superhero Girls? Honestly, my daughter might love that. I don't know. I think people are going to laugh at it, but it looks like a pretty fun game. For a kid, of course. Here's the Plants vs. Zombies. Another, like I said, one of those games where it's coming to the Switch way too late. If you didn't already get it by now, I mean, this, I guess, is a time to do it. But it's weird how long sometimes it takes, especially for EA, to port games over to the Nintendo Switch. Speaking of ports, Miitopia is coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's a game, came out for the 3DS towards the end of the life cycle for it. I never actually played it, and it just, I don't know. I'm not really excited about it, because if I wanted to, I would have bought it on the 3DS, and I didn't, so I don't know. It's just nothing really exciting about that to me. Animal Crossing is having a bunch of Mario-themed stuff. Great. But I really want to get to the Project Triangle Strategy. So this is it. Prince of Roland of Glenbrook, and the graphics, beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's like Super NES era / PS1 on the cusp. The graphics, Square Enix just has a magic about how they go about making their games. Now this is being made by the same team that made Project Octopath Traveler, which I guess you could say later became Octopath Traveler. And I love that game. One of my favorite games that I played when that came out. And Project Triangle Strategy is the official working title of it. And it doesn't come out for a while. Now they are going to have a demo that you can play right now on the eShop. But as far as the game itself, apparently it's one of those decisions matter. And what you do decides where you go with your team and what the storyline is and how it evolves. Interested to see how that dynamic works with this game, because to be honest, I've seen so many games promise that aspect, but then ultimately it always just ends up being, tunneling you back to the original main storyline no matter what decisions you make. So they're really truly trying to come across as that's not the case with this. And there may be like a slew of multiple different endings, a la like Chrono Trigger, things like that, where what you do in the game and when you do it decides the ultimate ending of the game. That's what I got while I was watching this trailer for it. So it is something that I will definitely be playing, and hopefully it lives up to half my expectations that I have for it going into it, because I mean, if it's even half that, it's going to be fantastic. Problem is, Project Triangle Strategy does not launch until 2022. 2022. Like, ugh. I guess the pandemic. I get it. Then they had a build-up from the creator of Zelda Breath of the Wild, working on Breath of the Wild 2, saying they don't actually have an update for us right now, which, I'll be honest, it was kind of a big letdown. A part of me was really hoping for a big focus on Zelda, and while they did talk about it, they brought up how they're going to have Skyward Sword HD coming to the Nintendo Switch, and then they were going to have an update to Hyrule Warriors to do a season pass with that. And that was it. There was nothing else for Zelda, and this is the 35th anniversary. Part of me was thinking they were going to do a compilation cart with a bunch of all the original Zeldas, putting them together, maybe even throwing in some DS games, things like that. That would have been really cool. But anything, but nothing. I mean, a part of me even thought that we'd get the Game & Watch Zelda, and we still might, but maybe they're going to save all that for a later time to go over the Zelda 35th anniversary. Just a part of me was hoping they'd do that now, and they didn't. But, I mean, then they go over Bravely Default 2, which is a game that I'm super excited about, but we already knew about. And then the upcoming Ghosts and Goblins remake or sequel or whatever it's going to be. Interested to check that one out, but, I mean, we'll see when that comes. We already knew about that one as well. And then they went through to the end of the presentation, and ultimately, I think a lot of people were caught off guard with the Splatoon 3 announcement. My feelings on Splatoon 3. I'm very torn and frustrated with this because, to be honest, I don't think there's really a need for a Splatoon 3. Like, I feel like Splatoon 2 perfected the formula of what Splatoon stood for on the Wii U. Like, a great game in its own right, still to this day. Splatoon 2 improved on every aspect of it, but kind of still felt like the original Splatoon to me, personally. So Splatoon 3, they showed it here, and I'm just like, that just looks like more of the same. Like, I would have loved to see Nintendo take Splatoon in a different direction, which, ironically, is what I thought they were doing with this when they showed the initial trailer for it, where I was like, oh, this is going to be like a spin-off game of Splatoon, where it's going to be like an adventure game or a role-playing game or doing something with the Splatoon characters, taking them out of the basic environment from the Splatoon games that we're all used to. And I was watching it and I'm like, nope, that's just Splatoon again. So, well, here's the thing, I'm complaining about it, but I'm going to get it because my son loves Splatoon 2. It's like one of his favorite games ever. So obviously I'm going to still buy it. So it's hard to complain about something I'm still going to buy. But for me personally to play it, I'm not really that excited about it. I would have much rather Nintendo either focus on one of their IPs from back in the day that just doesn't get the love it deserves, or take the Splatoon series in a different direction. What I felt like with this was they just were clinging on to what they know is going to bring them the money. And the Splatoon games have been selling very well. And I wonder if we've reached a point with gaming where you can't really take the risks you once used to because of how much money it takes to build these games for these next-gen consoles. And yes, I do consider the Switch a next-gen console. Maybe not to the great extremes of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S, but still, these games take years to develop. Look, we haven't even heard any updates on Metroid Prime 4 or Breath of the Wild 2 for how long now? So, I guess that's what I'm getting at. That's why I was frustrated with it. Yes, it's great for those that are excited about it, but I don't see how it's going to really switch up how you play the game from the predecessor to the sequel. But I'll withhold complete judgment until it actually gives us some tangible details. I guess that's where I'm going with this. Those are my thoughts on this Nintendo Direct. It wasn't terrible. Like I said, it was okay. It had a lot to offer, to a lot of different people. And like I said at the onset of this video, there are games that I'm excited about now that before today, going into it, I was like, I don't even know what I'm even going to buy in 2021 because there's really nothing on the docket. There's nothing that's really been announced. No release dates of games that I do know about outside of Bravely Default 2. Saga Frontier is another one that I got reminded of in this that I do plan on getting as well because I never really got around to that back in the day. So I'm re-energized for playing a lot of these games. I guess that's what I'm getting at with this. I know some people I already saw on Twitter were bitching and moaning about how terrible this Direct was, but I feel like that's unfair. And I'm not giving Nintendo a pass because it's a pandemic, nor am I giving them excuses about why they're not making the game that you expect. I mean, where the hell is the next Bayonetta that they announced that they were developing, like 4 years ago? So there's a lot of frustrations that people have, pent-up aggression that they have with all this stuff, and I get it. But I'd like to think that we can enjoy what they are giving us and just go from there. And if you don't like it, don't buy it. Buy a different system. There's so many games and so little time. Fill your life up with other things outside of gaming and you'll never complain again. I'm going to leave the video right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing. Smash,